Uh, Great. And we'll be able to share out the recording if you do have to jump off or if you want to reference it again as you complete your research. The presentation itself will last roughly 30 minutes, and we'll save some time at the end to answer any questions. So feel free to submit questions using the Q&A feature throughout the presentation, but I'll save answering them until the end. If you have any questions specific to your candidacy or application, you can reach out to our team directly, and I'll share contact information at the end. Today, I am going to be speaking specifically about the Executive MBA program in New York City. But just want to note, we do also offer the Executive MBA program in Washington, D.C., with the primary difference being a once-a-month schedule in D.C. versus the every other week schedule in New York. So also, if you have any questions about the DC program, feel free to reach out to our team or join an event we have for that coming up. Great. So to get us started, this is a snapshot here of the Executive MBA program structure. We offer 2 start terms each year, January and August. The program is the same regardless of which start term you choose. It's really all about what timing works best for you. So our most immediate upcoming start term is August of 2025. So many of you may be in consideration for that. Otherwise, we are also already starting the application process for January and even all the way out for August. It's never too soon to start your research and exploring your options. The program takes roughly 22 months to complete. Classes are held every other Friday and Saturday from about 9 to 5, and we'll see a breakdown of a typical class day in just a few slides. There are 2 required residencies in the first year. The first is an orientation week that takes place at the start of the program. The orientation week, it's a full week of days and overnights, typically taking place at a conference center slightly outside of the city. And during that week, you start taking classes. In the evenings, there are team building exercises, panel sessions, networking events. So a really great introduction to the program and helps get you acclimated relatively quickly. The second required residency is the global immersion experience, and that's part of the core curriculum in year 1. And we'll touch on that in just a few slides. The program is completed in approximately the same amount of time as pursuing the MBA degree full-time. And regardless of what program you choose at Stern, so our full-time, the Langone part-time program, or executive MBA programs, all program graduates are earning an MBA in general management from NYU Stern. And as I mentioned, I'm speaking specifically about the Executive MBA program in New York. If you have questions about DC, or if you have questions about our full-time or part-time programs, I'd encourage you to reach out to their program teams. So academics are the cornerstone of the Executive MBA program. The curriculum is designed to give you a strong foundation, but also allow you to follow your own interests. The core curriculum is completed in the first year of the program, and it provides a strong foundation in all of the key areas of business, such as finance, accounting, marketing, strategy. In the second year of the program, you'll be taking electives, and this is really the opportunity to build on the foundation or explore different areas of interest. And depending on the electives you take, you may specialize in up to 3 different areas. Specializing is flexible. You can choose your electives based on the specializations you'd like to declare, or you can simply choose electives of interest and declare a specialization after the fact. Like I said, you don't have to have made that decision up front. You can go through your core curriculum, figure out an area that you want to get a little bit more experience in, and choose specializations based on that as well. And as previously mentioned, at the end of the program, all students are earning an MBA in general management. So taking a closer look at the global immersion experience. So like I said, this is part of your core curriculum in year 1. We often refer to it as the GIE. So the GIE, it's intended to offer exposure to other global business centers and provide engagement with the business world beyond the classroom. And it's also a great opportunity to build on the community within the cohort. During the global immersion experience, students are participating in company visits, you're meeting with business leaders, really getting a sense of how business operates in that market. It's an individual course, so you're visiting companies across different industries and meeting with people across various functions. At the GIE, it's a week-long international residency, and it takes place about 6 months into the program. The faculty are typically the ones making the decision on destination, taking into consideration interests of the class and what's going on in the global economy. Uh, we actually have a cohort right now in Kenya. Other recent classes have visited Warsaw, Colombia, Shanghai, Argentina, Greece, and they typically try to choose dynamic, emerging, or re-emerging markets. So the faculty are really who bring the curriculum to life. The executive MBA faculty, they are hand selected to teach within the executive MBA program, and they're invited based on their experience teaching executive level students. The faculty are prepared to tailor their education and analysis based on the diversity and depth of experience of the students. So, understanding that not everyone in the cohort comes from the same background, they have to be able to tailor that learning to really benefit all of the students. So, for example, in a finance course, you may have a CFO and a marketing professional that's never experienced finance. And so being able to teach to both of those types of students and find and make sure that the content and the material is valuable to both is really important. So our faculty, like I said, are hand selected and invited to teach. And our small cohort size of about 60 to 65 students really allows students to get to know the faculty well. They are leading experts in their field and really active in the business world. And they're really committed to the success of the students. They're willing to meet with students in between class weekends, hold study sessions, so that you really do get to know the professors very well. You also get to know your classmates very well. You're in the residency intensive residency periods together. You're on your class weekends together. So what do the types of people who can you expect to be in your executive MBA cohort? I will say one of the hallmarks of the typical executive MBA class is the diversity of the cohort. We seek experienced professionals from all different backgrounds, cultures, functions, industries, years of work experience. And it creates a really unique peer learning environment with students sharing insights from their different experiences. So, taking a look at the typical class profile, average age is around 37, but it does range. Average candidates have about 13 years of work experience and 7 years of management experience, but this is also a range. We do ask that candidates have a minimum of 6 years work experience when applying to the program. If you're right on the cusp, we encourage you to have a conversation with us, and we can be open about where you are in your career. Uh, about 33% international background, 25% advanced degrees, and 37% female. And as mentioned, really spanning across a lot of different industries. Financial services being the top, but great representation across healthcare, marketing, consulting, government, military, nonprofit, and others, which include the hospitality, manufacturing, law, medical. So great representation from industry. And while this is reflective of a typical class profile, there isn't a typical executive MBA student. So our students are coming from the world of business, but also from medicine, law, nonprofit, military, the arts. And we've seen success from all different types of backgrounds, and them being able to provide positive contributions to the classroom experience. All students are assigned a study group in the first year of the program, and each group is made up of about 5 to 6 students with cross-functional skills. So it allows you to leverage others' expertise, learn from them, but also lean on them for support. Like I said, it's an extremely collaborative community, and you really do get to know your classmates very well. It's like a small, close-knit community. You're getting to know your classmates, and you're together in the intensive sessions during the residencies and during class weekends. So they can be a huge support to you, not only in the program, but also personally and professionally. We recognize your schedule is busy, so we structure the program to help you balance work life and school. You only take 2 courses at a time, so this allows you to master the content of those 2 courses and then move on to the next 2 courses. You're generally on campus on Friday and Saturday for the full days, so anywhere from 8 to 5. Breakfast and lunch are provided for you. You have a class in the morning and then a class in the afternoon. Classes last 3 hours with a 30-minute break. And this is a good time to either meet with your classmates, meet with professors, address work emails if you need to. And then oftentimes in the evening, there's EMBA or Stern-wide events that you're welcome to attend. And then we also have a dedicated student support team that handles most of the logistics of the program. So this allows you really to focus on the academics. They're the team that register for you for classes. They're getting you your books and your materials on class days. They also coordinate accommodations for the residency periods and for those that are eligible on the class weekends. So a lot of the busy work of being a student is taken care of for you so that you can focus on the academics and your work priorities and any other priorities you have. So students aren't just joining the Executive MBA program to enhance their knowledge and business expertise, but also to equip themselves with the tools needed to achieve their professional goals. So available to Executive MBA students is the Working Professionals team in our career office, and they are dedicated to helping you develop a long-term career plan. You're assigned a career coach when you join the Executive MBA program, and they can help you with anything from resume review, interview prep, network coaching. They are available, so the career counselors, they're available to meet with you on class weekends and in between class weekends by phone or video chat. There are also workshops and events throughout the 2 years. We often have current student and alumni from different industries meet with students and provide insider view. There's also enrichment built right into the curriculum with courses such as leadership and organization and other uh, electives. And then there's also networking events organized as part of the program, as well as with Stern and NYU as a whole. And as you join the program, you have access to Stern's powerful alumni network with access to over 110 alumni in over 130 countries. As an alum, you can also take advantage of lifelong access to professional development. So you have access to the career counselors even post being part of the program. So once you've graduated, and there's a lot of ongoing learning opportunities. You can enroll in executive education courses or audit electives post-graduation as well. So you're immersed in the program for 22 months, but you really do join this NYU Stern community for a lifetime. So looking at some of the basics for the program costs for the last academic year was roughly $226,000. This is subject to change each academic year, and we can recommend budgeting anywhere, an increase of anywhere from 2 to 7% for the upcoming start term. Um, but this program cost covers the entire program. It includes incidentals such as books for all of your courses, accommodations for the residencies. The only thing you're responsible for is travel to and from the residencies and the global immersion experience. And figuring out funding is certainly important and it's a big consideration. So we have a few different avenues of financial support. We have a dedicated graduate financial aid team committed to helping you figure out financing for your MBA. Most students do fund their education through loans. If for those that are US citizens or permanent residents, you can complete the free application for federal student aid, so the FAFSA, to begin that federal loan process. In addition, anyone can access the financial aid website to begin their research on the available options, and you can reach out to the financial aid team directly with any questions and to start that process. As part of the program, we do offer scholarships awarded by the admissions committee. All scholarships, they are partial. We don't award any full tuition scholarships. Applicants must indicate on their formal application that they'd like to be considered for a scholarship. And there's no specific criteria that guarantee an award. We have a few various scholarships listed on our website. And all of our scholarships are one-time awards. They are spread out across your tuition payments. And if you are awarded a scholarship, it's communicated to you at the same time as admission. Great. So taking a look at how to continue the process and apply to the executive MBA program. Our process is straightforward and it's meant to be holistic. There's not one part of the application that will make or break your candidacy. So we really recommend that you focus on the entire story that you're presenting to the admissions committee. It's a two-step admission process. The first is the pre-assessment. This is essentially you raising your hand and letting us know you'd like to continue the conversation. Some of you may have already completed this step. For those of you who haven't, we certainly encourage you to do so. Completing the pre-assessment, it should take no more than 10 or 15 minutes to complete. It just requires you to answer a few basic questions and upload your resume. And in the pre-assessment, we're looking to see that you meet our prerequisites, which are, like I said, the minimum of 6 years work experience and that you hold a bachelor's degree. For those of you who are on the cusp, like I said, I'd encourage you either reach out to our team, submit your pre-assessment, and our team would be in touch about your candidacy. So once you've submitted your pre-assessment, a member of our team would be in touch to clear you for the next step in the process, which is completing your formal application. And that's a bit more of the standard application process. The formal application, it includes 2 required essays. There is also an optional essay, which many use that space to address something they want the admissions committee to know that may not be covered elsewhere in the application. A lot of people use that space to address undergraduate performance or any gaps in employment. So again, that space can be used to cover anything that you want the admissions committee to know. Transcripts. So at the time of applying, you can submit scanned copies of your transcript. We only need you to provide official transcripts if you are admitted and choose to enroll. And we do require transcripts from all universities in which you earned a degree, so bachelor's, master's, doctorates, but we don't require transcripts for one-off courses. So if you have transfer credit or took a couple classes at a community college, things like that, we don't require transcripts for those. We require 2 professional letters of recommendation. We ask that one be from a current supervisor and then one from either a past supervisor, a colleague, mentor. Again, as long as they are professional. If you're not able to provide a letter of recommendation from a current supervisor, we just ask for a short written statement either by email or in that optional essay space to let us know why you're not providing one from a current supervisor. That's totally fine. Many applications don't have one. You might be in between jobs, or you may not have worked with your current supervisor for very long, or you may own your own business. So again, just a short written statement is why you're not providing one from a current supervisor. An interview with a member of the admissions team. So someone like myself and our team would be in touch to schedule this. And you can have your interview prior to submitting your formal application. The interview, it's formal, it's evaluative, but it also gives you the opportunity to ask your questions and confirm that the executive MBA program at Stern could be the right fit for you. Interviews are often held by phone or Zoom, actually by Zoom, and they typically last anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And again, your interview is part of your formal application. So we interview all candidates submitting a formal application. And it is the only interview in our process, so there's not an additional interview once you've submitted your formal application. And you can have your interview while you continue to work on the other parts of your formal application. So the sponsorship form is optional. So oftentimes this form is used to indicate if you are receiving any financial sponsorship from your employer. Um, but proof of time sponsorship is optional. Even though the program does require time out of the office for class weekends and residency periods, we just encourage you to have the conversation with your employer as the program does require that time out of the office. Standardized test scores, so GMAT, GRE, executive assessment, they are also optional. We are looking more at previous coursework and your career experience as indicators for success. If you're not able to demonstrate academic or quantitative preparedness for the MBA program through your undergraduate coursework or work experience, this may be a reason to consider a standardized test. But there are also other preparatory courses like MBA math, one-off courses, things like that that you could consider. And this is a great thing that you could discuss with your interviewer if you're unsure of whether or not you should take a standardized test. The application fee, so this is typically processed through our site. However, as a thank you for joining us at this session, you will receive a follow-up email with an application fee code. So make sure you apply that to your application. Great. And so deadlines for the August and January start term are noted here. But please, you can think of these more as benchmarks. We accept and render decisions on a rolling basis. So you can submit your application at any time up until the deadline. And once we've received your completed application, it will be reviewed by the admissions committee, and decisions are typically released within 3 to 4 weeks. So I often say if you submit your application the beginning of March, you'll have a decision by the end of March. So it is, again, on a rolling basis. We're not waiting until the deadline to review applications. Decisions and review is done on a rolling basis. We do have some upcoming events that might be a great way to learn more about the program, learn more, to hear from current students. So we're having an in-person networking reception and panel on April 16th. That will be in person at our location in Washington Square. So certainly encourage you to come visit us in person and get to hear from some current students and mingle with others that may be interested in the program. And then on April 24th, we'll be hosting a women's panel online. And you can sign up for both of these events by visiting our website. So we're happy to help. Our team is happy to help through any stage of the process. You can reach us by email, by phone, or visit our website with a lot of information about the program, as well as to read some testimonials from students that have completed the program. And for those who haven't, we certainly encourage you to take the first step, which is completing the pre-assessment and keep the conversation going. I'm happy to take time now to answer any questions. So feel free to use the Q&A feature. I will try to get to as many questions as possible live. Again, if you have questions specific to your candidacy or your application, I encourage you to reach out to our team directly. So like I said, feel free to submit any questions in the Q&A, and I'm happy to get to as many as I can. Great. So a question here about executive MBA students being eligible to take electives through the Langone part-time MBA program. This is a great question. Yes, some of our students are a glutton for punishment and impressive as to what they can take on. So executive MBA students are able to take to enroll in electives through the part-time Langone program. They're not they're not considered credit towards your degree. They're just in addition, above and beyond executive MBA curriculum. They are also the priority is to part-time MBA students, but our program does work with you to find electives that would work with your schedule. They are not done on an executive MBA schedule necessarily. Some of their courses are evening during the week or other days during the weekend. Some are also online. So you would have to figure out what works best for your schedule. But executive MBA students are able to take courses through the part-time Langone MBA program. Great. Another question about electives counting towards specialization. So we don't necessarily have a direct breakdown of what electives count towards each specialization because some of our courses could apply towards more than one. So, for example, a fintech course may apply to a finance specialization, but it could also potentially apply to a data and analytics specialization, just using that as an example. You're only able to use that elective towards one specialization, but it can span across different specializations. So we don't necessarily have a breakdown of what electives go towards each specialization. Again, if you're coming in knowing exactly what specializations you want to achieve, you can pick the electives that go towards that specialization. But again, specializing is entirely flexible. It's not required. Um, Even for those that simply choose electives of interest, most people net out with at least one specialization, but you are able to do up to three. Great. A question about the global immersion experience. Is the cohort traveling to the same global immersion experience or their choices? That's a great question. So the whole cohort is traveling to the same destination. You are just responsible for how you get to that destination. But the whole week is organized and planned by the program, and you're in the first year, it's required as part of your core curriculum. You do have the option to attend a second global immersion experience in year two as part of your electives, and they're typically going to very different locations than you would have gone in your first year. So, say for example, you go somewhere in Asia in year one, you might go somewhere in South America in year two. So they do try to choose different parts of the globe. Great. Questions here based on our scholarships. So we do have a variety of different scholarships that are awarded by the admissions committee. Some are based on merit, some others are based on a review of your application and whether or not you cover different areas. We have a social impact, we have a sustainability. So there are, like I said, the merit scholarships. So it's a review of your application to determine what scholarship you could be eligible for. So again, focusing on the story that you're looking to tell within your application, and based on the review of your application, we award scholarships from there. But we do have merit-based scholarships available. Great. A question here about attending a class. So that's something I highly recommend. It's a great question. It's a great way for you to get to experience the program firsthand. Um, Beyond just doing these types of events, hearing from our current students on student panels, yes, people are able to attend a class and sit in on a class. And the only thing that we ask is that you have submitted a pre-assessment and completed your interview, and from there you can attend and do a class visit. Another great way for you to get to kind of understand and better get a better feel for the program is by attending those networking receptions in the student panel. That gives you the opportunity to meet with current students and hear about their experience. Great. A question here about test scores. So as I mentioned, they are optional, but if you choose to include it, it is part of your application. But the good thing is there's not one part of your application that makes or breaks your candidacy. For the executive assessment, we've seen from industry standard that a score of about 150 it tends to be the average for students accepted to the executive MBA programs. So, if you choose to include it, that's great. If you don't want it to be part of your application, I would say about 95% of our applications come in without a standardized test score. And that's another thing, again, that can be discussed with your interviewer. If if you're not able to demonstrate that academic preparedness or the quantitative preparedness, test scores are fine, but there are other means of demonstrating that as well. Great. So kind of about the class schedule. So being able to attend remotely if you're not able to attend a class day. So our program is run fully in person. We do not have any remote learning opportunities, but we understand things come up. If you have to miss a class weekend, that's understandable. The thing that we recommend is connecting with your professors as soon as you know if you had to be out, connecting with your classmates. There are occasions that they may have some recorded material that you could tune into, but you're not able to attend the class remotely if you weren't able to join in person. But connecting again with your classmates, with your study group, and with the professors, and they'll all be able to support you because we do understand that things come up. Great. In terms of somebody's asking about advancing their career, so that's a great motivation for pursuing an executive MBA program. And we see motivations across the board. Many people are looking to advance their career. Many might be looking to make lateral shifts from public sector to private sector, or go from consulting to industry. So there are certainly shifts that can be made, and you can work with the career counselors. They have lots of connections. The classmates will have lots of connections. Faculty do. It's not something, of course, there's no guarantee from a career standpoint, but there's a lot that you can leverage as part of the program to help you on your career journey. And we recommend, taking advantage of everything Stern has to offer, from career resources to networking events, speaker series, to being able to engage with the community and help you on your career journey. Great. So, question here about kind of our class profile. As I mentioned, there's not a typical executive MBA student. We see people across a broad spectrum: age, industry, years of work experience. So, I wouldn't say there's an age that is too old or too young to consider an executive MBA program. It's really about what's right for the individual. Some find that earlier in their careers, at the 6 year mark, if they've advanced quickly, they're looking to continue on their trajectory, it might be a great time for them to consider an executive MBA program, and they don't want to kind of stall the momentum and want to be able to do the program while working. Others may find it later in their careers, if maybe they're looking to do something entrepreneurial, or advance further into leadership, just getting into the C-suite, as you start to get involved in conversations with more spectrums, across more spectrums of the business, could be a good time at that. So, like I said, there's not really a right time. It's really about what works for the individual um, for pursuing the executive MBA program. Great. So NYU has a lot of strength. So there's a question here about our strength in finance and whether the program's a good fit for those in other industries. And I would say NYU is got strengths across all industries. It is not just within the finance. And I think the executive MBA program really exemplifies that, because we do have the broadest representation of industry and function. It's not just within finance. I think people, especially in the executive MBA program, as they have more years of work experience, they start to see that regardless of what industry, what everything is run as a business. And so that's when they decide it might be a good time to come back for an MBA, because we've had museum curators, we've had people in the entertainment, we've had people from publishing. So yes, for those looking to advance their career, regardless of industry and regardless of function, the executive MBA program could be a really good fit for that. Great. A question here about the cohort. So our cohort size generally ranges anywhere from 60 to 65 students. And we have the two intakes each year for New York for January and August. And you are on campus with 2 years. So you'd be in your first year, you don't overlap with any other cohort. You are just with your cohort. You're completing your core curriculum with your specific cohort. In the second year, when you are taking your electives, you do overlap a little with some of the other cohorts. But they are all executive MBA students. You are not taking courses with anyone from full-time or part-time. It is all of your curriculum is done with executive MBA students. But your particular cohort is about 60 to 65 students of people from all different backgrounds and industries. Great. A question here about the curriculum, a great question about kind of the refinements. The curriculum, faculty are asked to review their curriculum every year, making sure that they are teaching what's most relevant, what's occurring most prevalent in business and industry. And so, yes, the curriculum is evaluated every year and expected to be updated based on what's most current. That's how we can review electives that are being offered, either taking some away if they're no longer relevant or adding in specializations. We do the same thing with that each year. So we do make sure that the curriculum is being evolved as things in the business world evolve. And I think that's one thing that really advantages New York as being in New York City, kind of in the forefront of where a lot of these changes are happening. Great. So question here about the rolling application acceptance. This is a great question. So I wouldn't say that applying closer to the later deadline disadvantages applicants. I mean, we still have space available in the class as we do get closer to the deadlines, but it is beneficial to applying early. That is when we have more space available in the cohort, so we're not necessarily having to puzzle piece candidates based on making sure we have diverse representation. But it's also when we have more scholarships funds available earlier in the process. So I always recommend applying on the earlier side, just because yes, we do have more space available and we can be a little bit more flexible about the industry representation in the background than we can as we get a little closer to the deadlines and even past the deadlines. So but I don't think that disadvantages necessarily the acceptance rate because we can also be flexible. If we think you're a great candidate for the program, but there may not be space available, we could always reach out to you about rolling your application to the next cycle. So that's another good advantageous reason of having the August and January start terms is because we can be a little bit more flexible if we think you're a great candidate and want to roll your application to a subsequent term. Great. These have all been wonderful questions. Please feel free to submit any additional ones that have come through. One just personal anecdote here about what I most enjoy and what makes me most proud of working at NYU and with the admissions program. I really lean on the community aspect of NYU. It really is a community that reveres the diversity and the equity and inclusion of feeling like everyone is able to have a voice. The community is really um, invigorating. There's a lot of very smart people that you can be surrounded by within the program, but also within the administration and the faculty. There are, I also find that the program itself really listens. So, being able to try and cater to the students' needs and make refinements if there are things that aren't working. So there's a real openness and kind of partnership between students and the administration and the professors. So like I said, I'm really proud of the community that is part of NYU and getting to be part of that. Great. These have all been fantastic questions. If you do have any others, oh, so another here. Um, People often ask what the time commitment looks like. So you're in the program has a every other week, Friday, Saturday, in-person class structure. But outside of that, students often say you could expect anywhere from 8 to 12 hours outside of the classroom for readings, assignments, or group work. And how you kind of divvy that up really is based on what works best for your schedule. Some people take hours in the morning or an hour in the evening, or they dedicate one day during the weekend to do that. So it really is based on what works best for your schedule. But they typically say anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. And of course, that could vary depending on the classes that you're in that during that period of time. So, if you're a marketing professional, you may breeze through the marketing courses, but you may need to spend a little bit more time in the finance and accounting courses. But there's a ton of support in the program to really help you get through all of those courses as well. Um, so definitely a time commitment, but it's designed in a way to really help you balance that work life and school. Great. Any other questions? These have all been fantastic. Not, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. For those of you who haven't, please take the next step and visit our website and submit the free pre-assessment. We look forward to continuing the conversation. Just to flash it again here, this is how you can reach us. So please don't hesitate to email us, to call us, to join other events. I highly encourage that as a way to get to know the community more. And please feel free to reach out to our team if you have any questions. We're happy to help along the way. And thanks for joining us today.